All right, you're live.
Welcome to Board of Health on April 2nd, 2025. Roll call vote. I'm Dr. Vigan.
Patrick Tropiano here.
And I hear Larry is coming late and Jillian Morton cannot be here. And I think Susan Dory is expected. And I am going to take out of order a little bit, just because Larry is on his way. I think he wanted to be present for some of them. Let's start with the health agent's report.
Absolutely. We'll push past disease reporting as we always do. We'll take that at the end. Plan reviews, we've done one conventional Title V and one alternative system. Perk tests are way up as we get into the season. We've got 5 new and 4 upgraded perk tests done. No emergency responses. Sam and our inspector from the grant group have been working on 2025 inspections. Those are ongoing. Beach water sampling, we're only a few months away. We are signed up to receive an intern from the state. We haven't gotten any more information on that, but we're hopeful. Technically no pending court cases, but that should maybe change here shortly. We might have one. Connie's been working diligently on all of our public health nursing stuff. She's doing a fantastic job monitoring all of our current diseases in town. We're getting around to that season. The tick stuff's popping up, but we can talk about that
And the epidemiologist is also
Yep.
still on. They're both planning to come before us
At some point.
at some point. Okay, I'm still waiting.
One of these calm meetings.
That would be great.
We're still participating in the Emergency Preparedness Coalition, doing all of our drills and keeping up with all that. The rental program, doing a fantastic job with the rental program. Hopefully after town meeting, we'll be able to sort out some more staffing for that. That should be in a couple weeks, and we should be squared away with the program as well.
Will we hopefully have someone to do, yep, good. And infectious disease report, there's really not, since our last meeting, there's not a lot new going on. Same regarding vaccines and flu, COVID, RSV have unchanged, and many other colds that are out there. Masking if you've got a cold, getting vaccinated if you don't want to get sick or you don't want your loved ones to get sick. The measles epidemic in Texas is still there, and it's spread a little bit. So, if you haven't had your kids vaccinated, get your kids vaccinated. People have asked me in my office about who should be vaccinated. Those that are born before 1956 are probably are okay. They have antibodies from having been exposed to measles when they were younger, and anybody that's had measles before. And many women who've had children get tested when they're pregnant or when they're delivering. And so you can check your records if you have antibodies, if you're later. Most women who have had kids either got a measles, mumps, rubella vaccine at the time of delivering. So that's another thing. Anyway.
And we're coming back around to tick season, and don't be fooled, the mosquitoes are out.
They are, and the ticks are out. They're definitely out. It was a hot season last year for babesiosis, ehrlichiosis, and many others. So stay safe.
Just had my dogs tested, both of them tested positive for a couple of different tick diseases.
They're out there.
Yep, they are. Next, we'll go down to the discussion possible vote on the minute meetings.
Okay. All right, I move we approve the March 19th, 2025 minutes as
And I second that.
Patrick Tropiano, yes.
And then we're gonna,
I'll do that.
let's go back up to 5, which is discussion and possible vote on the Grey Witches Gallery and Tattoo Sink variance request. Would you like to present that, Ms. McDonald?
Sure, Jess is here, I'm happy to let her know.
Yeah, hi. I'm just reapplying for the same variance that I had in October to have 4 tattoo artists working, 5 tattoo artists working at 4 sinks for an event. The other part of this is I'd like
When is the event?
the event is April 18th through 20th.
Okay, so it's April 18th. to the
18th,
20th.
19th, 20th, yeah.
And you're having, I understand you're in the process of renovating.
Yeah, we're in the process of putting in 2 new sinks. The first estimate that came back was $6,000 for 2 sinks, so it's a little higher than we thought, so it's gonna take us a little longer. I was hoping to have it done by this meeting. The other thing I'm asking is that we permanently consider the utility sink that I have in the back that we don't use a hand wash sink, so I can put a booth back there. And that's it.
You've-
And I brought a picture, we had questions last time, I brought a picture of the utility sink. It's just a regular sink, but it's a plastic tub sink versus our regular ones.
You wanna present that, so Donald, the rules are that there needs to be a utility
Yes,
sink
there-
in every,
There's a requirement for utility sink in every establishment. There is an argument to be made, which I understand it, and that is a majority of shops. I don't know any shops that still use an autoclave because everything is disposable. So there is an argument to be made for that. The only weary part is having the mop sink for cleaning of the actual facility would be my only argument, but
We do have a bathroom sink and another kitchen sink in the back.
they're in a unique position with the way that their space was
they
divided.
have more than, they have 2
Yes.
other sinks on top of that. So could one of those sinks be called a utility sink?
It has to be so deep to be a utility sink.
Not technically, yeah.
I really have a problem with that, with making a utility sink into a hand washing sink. I think that no matter what, it's gonna get used as both, no matter what, and I don't think that's acceptable practice. Plus, it's a requirement in the regulations, so I'm not willing to change the regulations for one thing. I'm just not willing to do that. I don't have a problem with her having, this for, an event
Mm.
or whatever. I have no problem with that, but I do have a problem with using that, especially making it permanent.
My question then is, do I put a hand wash sink back to this? Because that's the only space we have back there, would that be allowed, is that?
Yeah, the hand wash sink, as long as you're in your, what do you call it, you have a hand wash sink, then you have one for each station,
Mhm.
right, which is what's required.
Yep.
And you gotta have one utility sink, so however you put them, I don't care. I don't think this.
You put up like one of those plexiglass dividers, or just a splash guard really would.
Alright, would,
square away.
Hopefully they don't slop over into each other.
okay,
Should be simple
I'm
enough.
just trying to figure it out in my
Should
head.
be simple enough.
Well, it's very.
That's my opinion. I guess you're on. It's your opinion's next.
Yeah, what, if you're gonna, you could, I don't know the best way to put sinks together, but, what was your,
We can always come out and see you.
yeah,
Mhm.
look,
If you want to advise
I
me,
don't-
we can come out there and we'll look.
Yeah, we can come take a look.
Yeah.
and get
Yeah,
it.
that was part of it, when I
Mhm.
talked to you about it. Yep. It shouldn't be, once we get the 2 new sinks on in the tattoo room floor, it shouldn't be an issue anyway, cause we won't need the extra booth at that point. So,
Just call us if you want us to come out and look, but.
but you talked about adding an extra sink to where the utility
we're
sink is.
trying to, so in the
You gave us a little map
little
here.
packet, that little hand-drawn one, where those 2 green sinks are, that's where the 2 new sinks will be in. So once those are there, we won't need to use that utility sink during events.
Ours isn't colored.
Ours already makes
So
fine
you said
color.
green, but we
Oh,
have no idea.
there, sorry. The 2, the little, it looks like a refrigerator.
Where's the
Something
utility
was wrong
now?
with my eyes.
Oh, so
The
it goes-
utility
I was
is
like,
the
green?
bottom, right next to that number
5 and 6, I think it is,
Okay.
right? Five
Yeah,
and six.
Yeah.
5 and 6 are
Yeah,
where the
so
new
those
ones are
two are
gonna
the
go
green
in,
ones.
and 4 is where the utility sink is now.
Okay.
Right, and that's coming up anyway, so it'll be a moot point anyway.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, it was more just because we don't, the time crunch between getting the plumbing finished and the beginning of this event is getting closer and closer, so I didn't wanna have any, I didn't wanna get to the day of and then realize we were gonna be short for requirements, so.
I would
Okay.
entertain a
Yeah,
motion.
yeah. Okay, I move that we approve the use of, what exactly are you asking for here? Let me make sure. So you're gonna do for April 19th?
18th, 19th, and
18th,
20th.
19th, and 20th, for a special event that we're going to allow the variance to the sink requirement, okay?
And,
So that you can use that, all right?
and I second that.
Okay, Patrick Tropiano, yes?
And Amy Bedard, yes.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah.
But
Thank you very much.
you just gotta have the swap sink.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, that's totally fine.
Alright.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
What's going on?
Now we're going back to 3, discussion and possible vote on 7 Carroll Road variance request.
Okay,
Would you like to start, Mr. McDonald?
Sure. Do we have anybody here? Does anyone on?
Is anyone up online? With Carroll Road?
most of the gray though, that's not it.
Were they planning to come?
They should be. I thought we talked.
Did you talk to 7 Carroll Road?
Do you want to slide?
Oh, they're supposed to be here.
We could, why don't we jump to the next then? Do you want, or do you wanna present it without them?
We can wait. We'll see if they show up.
Let's, I think someone's here for potentially the next one, so why don't we jump then to, vote on, discussion and possible vote on 271 Plymouth Ave variance request. And would you like to come forward? And this is Plymouth Ave in Wareham?
Yes, it is.
Yes. There's a typo on, it says Mashpee,
Oh, does it really?
yeah.
Oh,
Gave us your recycled letter, Pete. It's okay.
We're gonna
must have been a telephone call when I
Let
was
it slide.
typing it.
Are you Peter?
Scrivener error.
There's a set for you.
Good
There's another set
evening,
for this
good afternoon, Peter McAfee with Engineering Works, representing Jitson Real Property LLC, who is the current owner of this property, formerly Priscilla Ness, who is deceased. And they're asking for variances to get the septic system servicing this property to reside on the property. It had previously been granted an easement on lot 46 due to the well setback requirements of 50 feet back in that day. 100 feet, I think, in that one when it was built. So, and so this septic system is currently there on lot 46. It's functioning okay, but in looking into it, it appears that the taxes weren't paid and the easement is null and void due to non-payment of taxes. And so they can't sell the property without having this system get back on the property that it's serving. So, so we're asking for 5 variances on the local upgrade approval for the septic tank, a 6-foot variance for the septic tank to the front and side property lines for 4-foot setbacks, a 6-foot variance for the soil absorption system to the rear and side property lines for a 4-foot setback, a 4-foot variance septic tank to slab, the screen porch is on the slab. So the septic tank will be 6 feet from the slab. 7-foot setback, SAS to slab for a 3-foot setback. I'm sorry, 7-foot variance for a 3-foot setback. And a 6-foot variance, SAS to cellar wall for a 14-foot setback. And as you can see, there's very little room on this property, so we're just squeezing it in. It's a 2-bedroom house. We have one 500-gallon chamber with stone, which has a capacity of fill for the 220 gallons per day that are required.
Okay. I noticed that there's an RLS stamp on the plan. I don't know if anybody noticed that. So that's good news. And I don't see where they could put it any other way.
It's tight.
Seems like it's 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
That's a nice way of putting it. But it fits.
Any comments, Mr. McDonald?
No, unfortunately, these are all out of necessity with the change in ownership of the property. It's a rather tricky situation.
And an upgrade is good. The other one's a pit, so this is a better upgrade anyway, so, you know.
Any other comments?
Do we know whether, if there's a septic system on lot 70?
There's a septic system on lot 70. That right behind that lot, that whole lot is, yeah, I have this mess here. This wasn't part of the filing, but on lot 70 encompasses the only abutter to our property. You can see it goes around this whole area here. And the existing septic system is over in this area here. So it's on the opposite side, approximately 100 feet away from where our septic is.
And then there's no wells in the area?
No wells in the area, everybody's on town water.
Right.
And
Makes
good-
it easier.
Oh, yeah. It was a real nasty neighborhood in the day.
Everybody ready?
I am, yes.
Okay, I move that we allow a local variance for a 6-foot variance septic tank to the front and side property line for a 4-foot setback from each property line according to the plan. A 6-foot variance for a SAS to the rear and side property lines for a 4-foot setback from each property line. A 4-foot variance septic tank to the slab for a 6-foot setback. A 7-foot variance to the SAS to a slab for the 3-foot setback. A 6-foot variance for the SAS to the cellar wall for a 14-foot setback. To the cellar wall, we'll have a liner installed, and we'll also need a deed restriction for 2 bedrooms on it.
The
Okay?
deed restriction has been drafted.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
So
Regarding that poly liner though, we can't get to the cellar wall because of the screen porch and that's sitting on top of the slab.
put it in the side of the system.
But don't use effective leaching area. The
So you-
sidewalk.
It's right up against the porch?
Well, we can put it up against, we can put one in along the screen porch, but
Yeah, you put the liner along this side.
it's just,
Beyond the 5-foot overdig.
it could conceivably.
You only need the 5-foot overdig for the sidewall.
No, I get that. I'm just thinking, it's at the risk of undermining the slab that's there that the structure sits on.
Well, I hate to tell you, I've done it a million times, so I think you can do it.
Well, I'm not doing it.
There's no 5-foot overdig on this, right?
Didn't I see an
Those
overdig?
are required because this one isn't suitable.
Oh, no, you're right, it's not an overdig, so it's
Yeah.
even easier.
So if it goes up right on the edge of the stone, then you would lose sidewall
Yeah, so we have to
calculations
do
for
it.
that strip where the barrier was, that's
Yeah,
all.
we just have to do it.
Because normally you go against the overdig and you
Yeah.
don't lose it.
Well, that's true, but you gotta have, you're within 14 feet. I've never seen us not allow to put a barrier in there.
Is this a 1-bedroom or
So
2-bedroom?
just dig a trench underneath the thing and put a barrier in there, it's easy enough to do. If you have to do it, you can do it. Trust me, I've done a million of them. And in some
Yeah.
strange places.
Your thoughts on it, right?
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, we could give a reduction for whatever minor area you lose on the sidewall. You can get up to a 25% reduction, so I don't think it would be that much. What is that like? Maybe
Well, it's 2 feet times, probably about 10 feet, so
Whatever
20
length.
square feet.
20 square feet of sidewall you're losing, so.
So up against the stone at that, between the house and the,
So this would be going to prevent it from going under the screen porch, right?
Correct.
Put a barrier there,
That's the purpose.
and I guess, yeah, if you want him to do that barrier, we just have to subtract out that square footage of sidewall for that, and we could give it whatever reduction that is. I don't know, 10%, 20, I don't know, it wouldn't be that much
or we
probably.
could keep it, just try to get it a little bit further from the stone and gain some of the sidewall area.
Yeah, you could do that, right.
Maybe, because it's gonna drop, it doesn't really flow laterally, so it's gonna go out, and so it'd be a foot or so, or, just so that we didn't undermine that.
What if it got shifted to that rear property line, would that help?
There's no place to shift it, I mean, well,
Cause he
There
goes
is.
what, 4 feet?
I
Back
mean,
and
we,
over 2 feet each direction, I mean.
we
we're down to
could
2 feet.
shift it and get, it would be,
Could I see this one?
requesting more of a variance. 'Cause it'd be-
Is that a town lot
I
now?
want this page, yeah.
46 technically is a town lot.
So we could let them vary right up to the property line if we wanted. If there's no house there and no septic there and no, I mean,
7350.
if you need some more room, if you're worried about undermining the footings for the porch or whatever,
Even 2 feet will be,
yeah, even 2 feet would help. And then you're not putting it right up against the stone, you'd be,
Is it possible to just, try to do what you had asked? And when the as-built is done, sort of grant that additional wiggle room to get that polyliner in? I mean, because right now I've requested the 6-foot variance. I don't know whether or not the board can say we have some latitude in that to try to get that barrier in.
so if we allow them to, if the motion was to allow them to go down to no less than 2 feet or no more than.
Yeah, okay, we can do
I
that.
think that would make everybody feel more comfortable.
That'll give you wiggle room on
It's
that.
such a tight lot.
That's
you
the
know what I
best
mean?
way to do it. We'll give him that. We'll let him go down to not less than 2 feet. I'll add that to my motion.
Okay, sounds good.
And then that way,
And
you
add a
can,
polyline.
that way you got some wiggle room and you can make it work.
Yep.
always
But
good,
I'm
wiggle
worried
room's
about
always
it.
good.
I hate it when they have a porch and then you're gonna have you might have some issue underneath the porch, you know?
Yeah.
And you never know what people do though. Sometimes they close them in,
Yep.
sometimes, they dig it, you never know. So yeah, I'm just trying to protect that area, that's all.
Well, if you wanted to go even more, we're already varying to the other lines, we could always make it longer and narrower to give them even more wiggle room if we want. You could go down to 3 feet on the lot 70 and, there's always ways to make it.
Yeah, I think
Protect the
what we gave you, I
structural.
think you can make it work with what we gave you, right?
Definitely.
Okay, then that's good. That's my
Like to-
motion.
Would you like to state that again at the end?
So you'd just be modifying the setback to the rear line then, it
Yeah,
sounds
that's
like?
all I'm doing, the
And
setback
allow
to
them
the
to go
rear
down
line
to
can go down to 2 feet
2
instead
feet
of
instead
4,
of 4, yeah.
okay?
Not
That-
both lines? I think we-
Well, we can do both lines, sure.
Both is just as easy, that way it gives you.
All right, so we'll do the
all
same, we'll
directions.
give you down to 2 feet on both lines.
Okay.
All right?
And
So-
I,
So that's, so instead of, it's kind of it's not just a 6-foot variance anymore. It's whatever.
Right, to make it
Whatever it's
work.
gonna be, but anywhere to 2 feet of the property line
Yes.
on both lines, okay?
Sounds good.
That's the
Alright.
first one. And then the second one is the 6 foot to the SAS to the rear side property line. That's the one we're talking about, right?
That's what we're talking about.
2 feet back.
Yeah.
The first one obviously is the 6-foot variance septic tank to the front and side property lines of 4 feet to 4 feet. And then the third one is the 4-foot variance septic tank to slab for a 6-foot setback. And then a 7-foot variance to the SAS to the slab for a 3-foot setback, a 6-foot variance to the SAS to the cellar wall for a 14-foot, and make provisions for a liner against that side. All right, and then we do have to
Right.
have the, you'll have the
deed restriction.
the deed restriction, please, which I see is already done.
I
So
just
we'll
found
get
out-
signed up and get it recorded and so on, okay?
And those
And I
abutters
sec-
notified too?
yes,
Yeah, you'll see it in there. There's one abutter, and it's in there.
and I second that,
Okay, Patrick Tropiano, yes.
and Amy did that, yes.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Just change the town.
We get to it, we'll get to it.
Well, I
Everybody
thank you
got
for
what they.
being flexible with this.
Oh, yeah, everybody gets what they need, these things, we have so many small ones, it's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
This one wasn't small,
Huh?
this one wasn't small, but now,
Yeah, I've seen them smaller.
well, it had the other lot, but now it doesn't.
The motion has been made, but the vote has not been taken.
Yeah, we just voted it.
We just voted, we're
You just
good.
voted it,
Good.
you're all set.
Have a good evening.
You're done. You
Shed
can-
is that
you
on the
can
other
go
lot?
home.
Is that a town shed?
I don't know.
No, so they had an easement to use the other lot for a septic and then a shed slash greenhouse
Oh,
was part of the easement.
you don't even need the variance then, if they already have an easement.
But the easement went
The-
away.
Property
Easement
owner
went
stopped
away
paying the
because
taxes.
taxes weren't paid.
Right, to be on the lot, but to go up to it, I guess, is a debating
Yeah.
issue for the
The town took it for taxes, so the easement went with the previous ownership.
So your town, you can't take an easement from the town.
But the shed belonged to them,
Technically.
so if the shed was there for more than 20 years, can't they lay claim to that land and,
No, you can't,
Annex
you
it?
cannot claim adverse possession against the
Can't.
town, ever.
Yep.
oh, okay.
That's,
Oh, now that it's a town
Now that
lot.
it's a
Right.
town lot, yeah.
The town
Before,
owns
they
it.
could have.
They could have
Yes, they should have.
originally,
Filed before that
if
they should have.
but once it was taken, then you can't claim adverse possession on the town.
Gotcha.
Should have, but didn't.
Yeah, that would have been a smart thing to do.
Yeah, they weren't quick enough.
We got the
Quick,
whole lot.
weren't quick on the draw. All right, so we wanna
So,
do this one
the-
even though
so
nobody's here?
Then
It's
it's up
relatively
to,
simple.
Yeah.
right, if you think they are okay with us doing it without them here, did you talk to them?
Well,
Yeah,
they should have come.
I do have a hand raised on Zoom.
You do? All right, so can you, bring them in?
Is that on 7 Carroll Road variance request?
We'll find out in a minute.
We'll bring them in, see what happens.
Do you wanna send that one down as well? I'll take the other one back.
This might be him.
Hello.
Please send that down.
I'm Mike Del Greco. Oh, hello.
Yeah,
Can
Hello,
you hear me? Hi there.
We're-
I'm Mike Del Greco regarding 271 Plymouth. Just before it all go, I have a question. I was hearing you guys talk. I'm the representative for the seller. Just was listening to the meeting regarding the taking of the lot next door. In terms of in the future and reserves, and now that you guys kind of are aware of this situation, is there a process by which maybe the seller could acquire that lot, because in the future there will be a reserve probably required for this house?
all right, so that's,
Um,
you'll have to get a hold of the town. There's a couple of issues that play. It depends on whether they consider it land of low value. If they do, it gets sort of gotten rid of in a certain way, right? So, and another one, if it isn't, then they will, usually have an auction. And they have the
Okay.
auctions usually in the spring of every year, and they get rid of them then. If it's land of low value, you might wanna contact the town and see if they have any intentions. And, you could probably find out then they'd have to do procurement and stuff like that, so
I guess
Yes.
it's just based on the size. It's not buildable.
do you,
it becomes an issue.
do you know who he contacts in the town?
Yeah,
Town
call the
administrator.
selectman's office and they'll get you to the proper people.
Don't they auction off?
They
lots?
do, but land of low value, they don't. Sometimes they just keep it.
Yeah, it might just,
It's different.
we end up putting a lot of drainage on those.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah,
the
That's what- I
town
know a ton
will
of it
keep
is in
them
that
for
neighborhood.
purposes,
Yeah.
and stuff like
Does
that.
does that answer all your questions, Michael?
It does. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you guys did, and you have a great night.
All
You
right,
too,
thank you,
take
Mike.
care.
it can be used for nitrogen loading too, if people want
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you can swap out the nitrogen, yeah.
They're valuable in that respect.
Yeah, if you can get it from the town, you can do it,
Yeah.
But it'll be up to them. I don't know what they intend to do with it, so.
I'm sure we have no plan.
I'm sure it's probably one of the low value.
It's on a list somewhere, I'm sure.
So going back then, discussion and possible vote on 7 Carroll Road variance request.
This is just a straightforward.
This is a depth
Depth of
issue.
cover, yeah, just, it seems that the grade was brought up either after building or it was always like this, but for whatever reason, it seems like it's a plumbing issue with how low everything comes out. So they're just correcting that, and the field is gonna be up at proper grade by adding this pump chamber and sliding this tank out and abandoning the original tank. Unfortunately, just to get everything to work with gravity from tank to tank, we have a depth of cover issue.
So they have one upgrade, one variant request.
Yeah,
They
For the
provided
depth.
the H20 components for the loading.
yeah, the component, there's two tanks, right? A pump
Tank
chamber and
and
a
a pump
and a
chamber.
septic tank. The thing that's bad about these, that's the problem, is because now when you put the pump in, and you have to be aware of this, you gotta have a rail or some way to get it out,
Yeah.
so that you can, because it's gonna be deep.
I've seen a lot of them just have the,
Yeah, you
Have a
gotta,
rope
but
and
you
a
gotta
grate.
have, yeah, but that won't work in
Put
this
an
case,
eyelet in
because
there,
you won't
but-
be able to reach
they
it.
will reach it.
So you're gonna have to do that, they're gonna have a chamber and you gotta be able to get it out of there.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to pay attention to that when you do the inspection. Cause that's a bummer.
Done.
I've had to do that, try to get a pump out and they didn't do it.
Well, a lot of them will
So-
bring the union all the way up,
Yeah,
so you don't do the
yeah,
union.
yeah.
Would, Ms. McDonald, would you explain what you explained to me earlier today about, for the rest of the board,
Yeah, so
about
this is just an issue with this one's somewhat with the grade, but where the plumbing comes out of the house, it's so low in the basement. So the original tank is probably just as low. They don't show it here, but my guess would be that it's just as low. And it was probably original to when they installed the house, so it wasn't so much of a concern at the time. But so by abandoning that tank and putting in these new ones, proper H20 loading, they can then use the pump chamber to bring everything back up to a suitable grade for the field.
because it's on a sort of a hill.
This is a different, the one with the hill is not this one. I was thinking
Oh.
of another one that we will probably have coming to us.
Oh.
The other one's in the reverse. There's one, I think, pending where the backyard is all uphill and everything else is down at grade, so instead of cutting into the hillside, but we'll get to that one when it comes.
6 and 5 is 11, so they're gonna hit a little groundwater at the bottom too.
Do you know if it's an existing 3-bedroom now? I know they're designing for 3, but,
It is existing three.
okay. I'm increasing the flow then.
So you can tell where the water table is because, see, there's the water table right there. Okay. And so if you come to the bottom of the system right here, it's 1120, and if you deduct the 2, it'll tell you what the water table is from under the field.
You see that partially, how does this, partially within FEMA flood zone, AE?
It's,
Where is the flood zone delineated? Oh, there it is. So it doesn't look like any of the new components are in the flood zone, right? The
No,
old-
it's,
the
no.
old
it's just that corner. I don't have the
Just
full
the
size in front
corner.
of me, but it looks like it was just that corner, if I remember right.
That's what it looks like.
I
It
don't,
said, it doesn't say
I
that,
can't
it says
see
the
it.
site is partially within FEMA flood zone.
Oh, right, yeah,
didn't
the
know there was
old
another
trenches,
one.
'cause this is the
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
So none of the new components are in that flood zone. so
No.
that's-
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
No.
What did you need from the
And then the water table was six, it's around 6 feet or so down, so.
So the variance are for the tank and the pump chamber to be
Yes.
deeper, not the field.
Not the field, the field is pumped, so it comes back up.
And did they do buoyancy calcs?
I didn't see them, but
I didn't see any buoyancy, but they're gonna be barely in the water.
Okay,
And they're using an H20 tank, which
okay,
is
so
pretty
yeah, they
heavy.
should be
20
fine
feet
then.
are
It should be
usually enough.
fine, it's a pretty heavy tank.
And they're not varying inverts to the
No.
groundwater either?
Nope.
Okay. Looks good.
Okay,
usually
all right.
motion?
Yep, I move, an increase in maximum allowable depth of the system components. That includes the tank and the pump chamber, okay? From 310 CMR 15.221, from 36 inches to 72 inches below finished grade, providing the adequate access is provided and an H20 loading system be installed.
And do we need a stamp?
Well, this isn't a matter of
It's not.
setbacks, there's
We
no
don't
set,
need- There's no setbacks.
no
we don't
setback
need it, okay.
requirements here, so I'd say no.
And 3-bedroom,
We don't need an RLS stamp.
and deed restriction?
And it's 3-bedroom, no, it's
sounds
3-bedroom,
very-
3-bedroom
very good.
design, 3-bedroom system.
Okay, I'll
Perfect.
second that then.
Minimum requirement. Second, Dr. Tropiano, yes.
Amy, you got this.
Thank you so much.
Good, any questions? Next is 6, discussion of rodenticide products. Is it back for,
I don't know that anybody's here.
Nobody's here.
okay. And do you want to present the
Brief.
brief so that we know what it was about?
This is, so the issue with the anticoagulant pesticides is something that's, I should say. It's an issue that the state has tried to take up on a few occasions. They have not been able to pass anything. Hopefully, that's something that will be in the future, but this is currently something slated to go before town meeting. The board can consider supporting or not supporting or not voting at all, which is perfectly fine as well. But this would be to ban the commercial use of them from our pesticide companies. And the reason for that is an environmental concern with whether it's household pets or other animals that might prey on these rodents after they consume the anticoagulant rodenticide. Back in the day, you could get these products, the first generation of these products off the shelf. It was your standard, off the shelf Home Depot product. The government has since banned that. They are controlled now by licensed pesticide people. They are the only ones that can acquire and bait traps with it, so. The article going before town meeting is to ban the use of them in town entirely. It's an interesting concept, there's an argument for both sides certainly. But from our point of view, from the Board of Health's point of view, I would rather have our pest control companies be the most effective and not ask them to use alternative other methods for dealing with our rodent issues, and especially in our commercial businesses, I would rather them be the most effective possible.
So what would, if they were totally banned, for example, what a place like, take one of the bigger stores, I won't even use a name, where they sell a lot of variety of different products and you often have infestations, what would they be able to do then?
They would just have to go to a different type of bait station and use a different product, or just go back to some of your standard pest removal options that aren't bait stations. The only,
But they don't work as well usually.
generally speaking, the consensus is they don't work as well.
That's for sure.
Well, the ones that affect the reproductive system of the rodents
Yep.
has been pretty well proven to work.
These are quick and effective. From my understanding, those reproductive ones take a little longer to knock out as many as you would with this. I think it's more of a time thing.
My opinion is that, and this is that the state has been remiss in its duty, in my opinion. They should have dealt with this, not us. And we can't be doing this town by town. And they keep doing this now. People come and they want the towns to deal with it because they can't get the state to deal with it. But that's their job, not ours. And I'm not willing to do anything unless the state does it on this particular issue, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion.
And we'll see what happens at the,
Right.
on the town platform. I think it is tarred from the Board of Health if that's, you know, what do you certainly need to control the rodents in some of these bigger
Yeah, sure do.
stores, cause they get, I've heard, we've had them come before, some of these infestations I've had, they've been awful. So,
I think we have a question over there.
Yeah, if this ban were to go in effect, would that be like an immediate, do not use even the product that you already have, or would stores be allowed to use, you know, what they already have and then switch to a different supplier?
Well, it wouldn't go directly into effect when it was voted because it would have to go to the AG to make sure
Okay.
that it's written properly to begin with. The AG could have kept it outright, so we don't know.
if you read the warrant, it says right at the beginning it would phase out and application of second generation anticoagulant rodenticides within 90 days of ban. So it's not immediate even in what they're requesting. And it would require all licensed certified applicators of rodenticides to provide written notification to the Board of Health whenever certain rodenticides, including SGARs, are used within the town. Should a public health crisis occur, in addition to banning, so it looks like they're opening that you could use them, but the question is it enough? Because when there's truly in my mind, when there's truly we've had some in some of the bigger buildings in town, what do you do then? Is there a way that is as effective so you can get control of it within 2 weeks?
Okay, thank you very much.
It might not come back from the AG for 6 months. You never know how long it's gonna take them. They might eject it outright. We don't know.
Yes, so.
The way this is worded though, it sounds like it's just by town employees and private contractors. It doesn't say a private citizen can't buy it and use it.
Federally, it's restricted. You and I can't go to Home Depot and buy it anymore. It's
You
no
buy it on the
longer shelved.
internet?
It's a regulated product now.
Okay.
Back in the day,
So we don't have to worry about the stores then because we can't buy it there anyways.
No,
Only
but-
licensed pesticide.
this is generally speaking what
Right.
they use heavily in like your buck stores and stuff like that. It's the most effective.
Okay.
So this will come before the town meeting.
This was an article going before town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it should be regulated by the state because
Yes.
the state's the one that certifies the pesticide people that
Correct.
would applying it, so it's,
And who's applying it too? The licenses come from the state.
or is it USDA or Mass DAR? I forget.
Yeah, I mean, they need to,
think
they
it's
need to
the
step up their
Department of
game.
Ag.
If they think this is a thing that needs to be dealt with, then they should deal with it.
I think they brought it, multiple times they brought legislation forward that didn't make it out of the committees, but
That doesn't mean, so they had a reason why they didn't vote for it.
it's the
How
same
that
argument.
works. Sometimes we do it here. Sometimes we don't vote for something, we do vote for something. We listen to the information and we make a decision.
So next is announcements, just for those of us who are on the board, make sure that there's an email that went out from the town selectman's office about reapplying and
Already done.
and I made a statement in the email that we are all going to be, the members are going to be, we won't be due all in the same year, and be staggered, which makes much more sense.
Yeah, they should
And
be.
there's a couple of things people have to fill out and sign. I would ask that maybe the next meeting or probably the next meeting or early in May, that we are able to put those interested in coming, being part of the board. We're able to put them on the agenda. And also, we had some recommendations of moving an associate up to membership because we have a member who's leaving. Jillian will be leaving. So if we could just maybe put that on our next meeting. Anybody else have any other? I think we've already voted on the meeting minutes before you came. I would entertain a motion.
Set. I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
Tropiano, yes.
Amy Peter, yes. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Nice job.